Hey there, Internet. It's me, Broken Terrain, and I've got my modular magnetic sci-fi industrial walls. I can't wait to share them with you right after the drop. Oh man, I've been so excited for this project ever since I finished my modern tiled board, and I couldn't wait to get started. We're gonna grab a slice of dollar store foam core, the ready board. Although any foam core would work. In fact, on this craft, I recommend keeping the paper on because it'll leave the walls a little stronger. I based the wall height on the shapes, which is what I planned to decorate my walls with. The way I do it, the walls needed to be 2 3/4 inches high. So I cut them in strips, and then because of the way I've placed my fender washers underneath the canvas, that's going to give me connection points at every 2 inches. So I want to keep my walls at 8, 6, and 4, and I do one small 2-piece. It's kind of like an extra foam, waste not, want not, and it certainly doesn't hurt to have one extra little wall just in case. You never know. Once you have your walls cut to size and shape, you're going to add magnets to both corners. Cut out enough foam so that the magnet fits nice and flush with the bottom. Hot glue it in, and then smooth around hot glue around the edges and around the bottom, and create like a little pocket of hot glue for this magnet to sit on. And then a tip from me to you: while the hot glue is drying, hold the piece down on a bit of parchment paper, and that glue is going to dry nice and flat and perpendicular so that your walls have a greater chance of standing upright even when they're not magneted down. The design I ultimately end up using is pulled from a lot of old school science fiction that I grew up on. I'm remembering panels stuck to walls, and I thought I would use my woodies. Although they have a bit of a wood grain, I thought with enough paint and rust effect I could make them passable as metal plate. And there's a square pack of woodsies and a rectangular pack of woodsies, and I'm going to ultimately use 2 packs of both to have enough of the pieces that I need to cover the walls. I have several shapes left over as well, so I could probably get a few more walls, and I would actually like to go back at some point and make more walls because those foldable tables are so big. My usual amount of scatter terrain just isn't quite up to the task. But perhaps maybe I'll find alternate projects to help fill the boards as well. You can see I've got 2 alternating patterns of 2 different shapes. One shape happens to be as wide as the other is long, for example. So the long rectangles work out really well with the smaller squares, and the larger squares work out very well with the medium rectangles. And I just every other along the bottom and every other of the others pair along the top, and you get something like this. Of course, make sure you do both sides because it is in fact a wall. And don't forget to do some doorways. I've designed this interesting arch, and the foot of the arch happens to be 2 inches along with the top, and it flares out just a bit. I want to say a 1/2 inch, perhaps a little less at the feet. Why this is helpful is because I ultimately take these cutouts here, and because it's 2 inches apart, if you recall our magnetic connections, our washers sit at 2 inches. So now I will be able to use the inserts as removable doors. So I can put the door down, and when the players access or open the door, or the bad guy comes storming out, I can simply remove the door itself and open the doorway up. I thought it was a pretty clever way of handling things. I was going to melt the foam down the middle originally, but that would leave it a little too weak, and I really didn't like the look of the inside of these arches. So after I cut the wooden trim, I wanted to fill this gap and make it look much cleaner. So with a bit of cardstock, most likely from a Hostess or Little Debbie box, cut just right to width, I hot glue that in, and you can see that really cleans up the inside of the arch, makes it a bit more presentable. Snips, you just trim it flush. And I was talking while I did the trim. I utilized that template to help cut the proper angles on the trim pieces for the doorway, so they look really clean. And there's the insert that with some flashing on it, a little different because I want it to stand out from the door. And now I've turned to some Final Faction accessory packs that you can find at the Dollar Tree to use as grables and things. Boy, I love this. Look at these vents, and they end up looking fantastic against a lot of these walls. This Rampage Ruck armor kit here is ultimately where I get a ton of pieces. My idea or concept in my mind was to cut a lot of slim 90-degree angled pieces and wire them up and down along the walls, and it is kind of effective. I find a few pieces. At first glance, I thought I would get a lot of pieces off of this set, but ultimately they stuck out too far, and these are supposed to be walls to create hallways and rooms and things. I don't want these walls to have a massive footprint on the board. That is not the point of them. So you can see the long thin piece here. I actually cut it down even thinner, and it really sits flush along the wall. I really like it. These vents here are worth their weight in plastic. They're a good purchase for this. I cut the vents off separately, and some of those hollow plastic tube Q-tips, something else you can get from the Dollar Tree, cut and then glued like they're piping angled down. Are they power? Are they venting fluid? Who cares? They look fantastic. They sit just below the vent, and I really love these vents. These were exactly what I was thinking when I attacked the dollar store toys for grables. They sit really close and flush to the wall. They look incredibly convincing, and with a couple of Q-tip tubes, they're very believable in that it is something lining one of these here space walls. Nice. That Final Faction packet with the wings had some nice grables along with it. This double vent looking thing is fantastic. I'm going to glue this down to a big square, and it's got some smaller vent pieces as well that I'm going to glue onto squares as well. And then again, with that Q-tip as piping, I'm going to glue the piping from the bottoms down to along the wall. I really like the look, and the piping sticking out of the wall gives the wall even more balance and the ability to stand up straight, whether it's magnetized or not. Just clip the excess off. Fantastic, we're looking good. Once all the grables were glued down, I took them outside and I hit them with a primer. A red, a blue, and a gray. I wanted to do different sections, so you could do something like old school Doom, where they needed the red key for the red door, the blue key for the blue door. That's the thought process. Then it was on to do a complicated rust technique. I really wanted to do a big boy rust technique. I wanted to push my painting to the next level. I did watch some videos and tutorials, and here's what I did and what I took away. First, you hit it with a Seraphim Sepia wash. And once you do the Seraphim Sepia wash, you go in with Agrax Earthshade. So a yellow wash and then a brown wash. And just, I want the tops and sides of all my panels like it's just been rusting for years. Make sure you do the little drips of both, just dripping and oozing down the wall. And make sure you add that rust and the effects around your grables as well. Anything that water might pool on and collect on and then drip down. It was a lot of work doing all of these panels, but here they all are with just the 2 washes. They're looking really good, and I'm excited to go even further. So I get a hold of some typhus corrosion, and I had to make a drive to get it, but I got it. I'm seeing recipes online. You can make it. Go right ahead. And I almost did, but these were already complicated enough. I just thought, no, I'm just going to pony up and buy the technical paint. So that's what I did. It's like a burnt sienna with some grit, like some real fine grit. And you kind of load it up in the areas that you've already applied the wash to. Make sure you're getting some of that texture down on there, because that texture is really what sells the look or the idea of a corroded metal. And here it is on all 3 colors. Boy, it really looks the best on the gray. And I almost wish I had just done everything in gray, but I do everything in these gray, brown, drab colors. So I was excited to hit to get the red and the blue, even though they don't look as good. Speaking of which, why did I show off the dry brushing of Rise's Rust on a red piece? I don't know. I will apologize to you, the viewer. I'm sorry about that. I should have been showing it off on a different color, because the rust effect just doesn't pop on the red like it does the other panels. Still, once that typhus corrosion dries, go ahead and hit it with a dry brush of Risa Rust. It's a bright orange. It's going to hit the edges of the panels, and then it's going to pop on some of the texture in that typhus corrosion we did earlier. I learned my lesson. I grabbed a gray panel to show off the next step, and that is to go back to your Seraphim Sepia. Did I get that right? The yellow. And just go along the outer edges of all your rust. This is gonna blend that rust effect in and give it the appearance of oozing down onto the panel. And even if you wanted to be done at that point, it looks amazing. But we're gonna go one more. This is Citadel's orange wash. I missed the I missed the name of it. You're gonna have to roll the video back if you want to get the name of it. Sorry. Okay. You hit the deeper, darker parts of your typhus corrosion with this orange wash. It's just gonna create a really dark orange, rusty look. Here it is on the doorway. And then you're going to hit it with a spray sealer. I'm waiting for the weather to calm the heck down before I go outside and try and do any more spray painting. But boy, oh boy, I'm in love with these walls. They look absolutely fantastic. You can see the modularity, the ability for me to move them around and stick them to just about any spot on this amazing foldable board that I had created last week. I'm in love with these things. Boy, they've really got me in a different kind of mood. Do you guys like this content? You like the dip into modern and sci-fi a little bit? Don't worry, I haven't abandoned fantasy. I never will. I love that stuff. I'll be right back to it next week, I promise. But until then, I hope you really, really dug these walls. I know I did. I absolutely loved doing this project. I loved sharing it with you. I hope you liked it. And if you did, now's the time to smash that like button. Share this video with your family and friends. That would really help me out. If you want to see more videos like this, if you want to watch me craft some more, hit that subscribe button. I've got a subscribe star if you want to help the channel. YouTube will let you tip me. If you think I did a great job, want to buy me a coffee or something, hit me up. I'd love it. Thank you so much. Leave your comments. I'll catch you on the next one. Like each other, love each other, and craft on.